She has spent over 2 decades leading teams and scaling businesses across South India's logistics landscape. Ms. Sudha Padmakumar.
Basically, you build trust, reliability, and the solutions that you find helps us grow along with the customer.
The tension and the stakes in that story really hit home, and it's not just about moving goods.
I realized that it is not good enough to have just your 2 decades of experience. Probably you need to have some kind of a mentorship as well.
Hey everyone, welcome back to FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I'm your host, Sunny Pancholi, and today we are diving into a world that literally moves the world, freight and logistics. We often talk about digital transformation, but few stop to think who keeps global trade flowing when every route, regulation, and risk shifts overnight? Today's guest knows that pressure better than anyone. She has spent over 2 decades leading teams, turning challenges into new trade lanes, and scaling businesses across South India's logistics landscape. From Lufthansa Cargo to DB Scanker to CH Robinson to Renus Logistics, she has seen every side of the supply chain engine. And now, as Vice President South at Flomic Group, she drives strategy, business development, and operations with a rare mix of precision and people centric leadership. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Sudha Padmakumar. Ms. Sudha, it's such a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you, Sunny. Thank you for having me here.
All right, so to begin with, Ms. Sudha, not a resume, a story. Can you share one or two moments that truly shaped you? Maybe a tough call you made, a stumble that taught you something big, and maybe a decision you still feel proud of today?
Well, Sunny, a freight forwarder's life every day is like a firefighter's life.
Oh.
It's there's never a day without a disruption or a new challenge. So some of the challenges we face are probably solvable in a very initial stage, but there are situations. For example, a typhoon in China can stop the entire automotive sector performance in Chennai. And as a forwarder, the decision you take matters a lot in both ends. So we take a commercial call when required to ensure that the manufacturing in Chennai is not halt, but ensure that commercial call in terms of airlifting of a cargo or airlifting of the business immediate with a hit taken on us is done on a timely basis to ensure that a customer is fully satisfied. Now, these calls are at a certain commercial risk, and we take that to ensure that the customer is on going on in business with us. So this is a day in and day out business that we take, and it's a as a head of South, I take these decisions on a day to day basis, and the long run is that the business is still stuck with you because of these kind of out of the box thinking. So the challenges are every day, but it's fun.
Absolutely, and that's incredible. I can totally picture the tension you are describing. And I love how you turned that challenge around. It really shows your leadership in action.
It basically you build trust, reliability, and the solutions that you find helps us grow along with the customer.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what a great start to this conversation and continuing it. You have led freight operations where every hour matters, air freight deadlines, custom coordination, client expectations, and whatnot. So, what one thing the whiteboard taught you that changed how you plan, and one thing the real world taught you that changed how you lead?
Well, it's the real world is the real teacher, to be honest. But yes, the academics, the learnings that you do really shapes you in making those kind of right decisions in the real world. So I did my course with IIM in 2019 end November, and it was in 2020 March that COVID broke. So the risk management factors and solutions that you learn out of these big great institutes When you learned, we thought, okay, that's just for the academic purpose and that's never going to be implemented in life. But COVID taught us a big lesson, the real risk in front of us. And 2020 Jan is when I joined Flomic with a team of people along with me. And it was my call to bring in this team and to ensure the team is taken care of was a personal choice. So failure was never a choice. And we had to sail through COVID without a blink of an eye. It was that hands down team was working all through COVID. Probably we were the only team that never shut offices, and results were extremely good. And that's what has got us sailing through. And I think, I mean, anything and everything today, we as a team have been successful only because of that survival instinct that came through during those terms. So, managing risks from what you've learned academically to real life challenges are a good connect that a leader can bring. And that is very imperative that the leader looks at both side of things. You just can't say that your life experience is going to sail you through. You definitely need to know whether the practicality of this is possible or not, and that academics give you.
Absolutely, Ms. Sudha. And the way you handle that moment under pressure is truly remarkable. It's amazing to hear how theory and reality collided in such a high stakes situation.
True, very true. I mean, today when you look back at it, it's a good story to say. But during that period, I don't think we ever saw the negativity of COVID at all. It was survival, and those families that decided to walk along with me had to be taken care of. So it was never a choice. Failure was never a choice.
Rightly said, Ms. Sudha. So, moving ahead, every logistics company today says we are going digital, but not everyone sees results. And you have worked hands-on across systems, teams, and global networks. So, in your view, what separates companies that actually benefit from technology from those that just buy it?
Well, it depends a lot on when you started becoming techno savvy. Was it uh, in the early stages of your building of the organization, or when you have already come to a level where you realize that you have no other go but to implement technology? So many of the multinationals that I've worked in the past, the DB Schenkers, the Kunenagels of the world, they were techno savvy way ahead. Things that we are talking today was implemented in those companies way ahead of time. Now, the situation today is the cost versus ROI. Technology doesn't come easy. Technology is at a big commercial cost. And how are your team techno savvy as well matters. So I would say early birds were more successful. Digitalization is the word today, and we do not have a choice but to go ahead with it, because you can't be away from how the market flows. And technology is not one side. The receiver and the companies, all of them have to have the technology connect. So today this is a big challenge that we have Indian companies still trying to chase that technology. And are we getting the right kind of return on these investments is another big question. That is a big challenge why many of them refrain from looking into technology. But there is no second choice. It has to be implemented. And the way you implement it is the key word to success. And I have been leader in or pioneer, I would say, in terms of implementing these things into our processes, because systems has to stop and no more human intervention is what everybody is looking at. So that is a challenge everybody goes through. But tomorrow's business is more techno. You don't have a choice.
Absolutely, Ms. Sudha. And it's fascinating to hear how much strategy and people matter beyond just the technology. And talking about the ROI, uh, When you talk to business leaders, the CFOs, COOs, board members, they often ask, what's the business value of logistics excellence or governance? So, how do you answer that? I mean, what's the real return on getting it right?
Well, that is what the biggest challenge today is, because your costs are by the day increasing, your quality has to be the best, your quantitative measures have to increase, your processes have to be perfectly set, and all of this is definitely at a cost. And profitabilities are diminishing by the day because the world is becoming a more shrunken place. It's the biggest balancing act that we do in terms of maintaining both of it. You know, the other side, you have to have the best of qualities of services because this is a service industry. And you, on the other side, must maintain your minimum profitability as well. You need to have quality employees who are well trained. So you need to start investing a lot on trainings as well. Again, getting the right kind of employees. See, today you do not have an industry where or educational backgrounds where you get people for freight forwarding industry from colleges. You have to invest a lot in terms of training, and the business is so much in the open. Earlier, it was a very niche product. People were not very much aware of logistics and it was very minimal. But today, competition in the market is humongous. When I was in Lufthansa, I think probably there were only 70 or 80 forwarders, operating. Today, I think you can add a three more zeros along with it. And that's the kind of numbers that have sprouted. And so you are having the same piece of the cake. So competition has increased, so your margins are very low. Maintaining this balance is the biggest leadership quality today. To be honest with you, I am measured more on how much do I save than how much do I perform. So this is the kind of situation we are in. But I think this is a transformation that's happening. It's a transformation of the entire industry that is happening. Probably in a year or two, or sorry, in a decade or two, you will have logistics more of a with an industry status and given the due importance it deserves.
Ms. Sudha, the way you link operational decisions to real business outcomes is eye-opening. And it's incredible how much strategic weight logistics carry when done right. Hearing the stakes and the impact makes the whole system come alive.
Absolutely.
So, Ms. Sudha, time to loosen up a little. No long answers, no explanations, just the first thing that comes to your mind. And this segment we call as rapid fire round. So, are you ready for it?
Absolutely. Let's go for it.
Okay. All right. So, the first question is the first thing you do when you wake up.
Look for my phone.
Okay. Next, your go to comfort food after a long day.
I'm a South Indian. I'm rasam rice lover.
All right. Great. The movie you have watched way too many times and still love it.
Quite a lot of them, but the one that I repetitively watch is Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara.
Fantastic choice. A song that instantly lifts your mood.
I love old classics. So, Lag Ja Gale, that's a beautiful song that I hum along.
Absolutely classic, truly. Okay. Next one. If you could take a month-long break anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Any day, stroll in the beaches of Maldives.
Nice. If your life had a tagline, what would it be?
Well, it's always been and will be. Stay humble, stay hungry. All my presentations end with that.
Okay. Stay humble, stay hungry. All right. One person, living or not, you would love to have dinner with.
Well, I would love to have dinner with my mother. Uh, Two women sitting down gossiping never gets over.
That's a classic too.
Yeah, absolutely. Any day.
All right. Okay. Next question. What's something you absolutely can't travel without?
Again, my phone. Absolutely, my
Correct.
phone.
Yes, we cannot do without our phones
No,
nowadays.
no, I don't think I know even my husband's number.
Right. All right. So finally, the last question of rapid fire round. Describe yourself in three playful words.
Okay, I'm curious like a child. I'm quite creative. I love both. I'm ambidextrous basically, and
Okay.
I'm witty as well. Yeah.
Great. All right. Amazing. So that makes four words. All right.
Yeah.
Love those answers. That was truly fun. And I think we just learned a lot about the energy that drives your leadership side, your personal side.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It
Great.
does. I love both side of things in life in terms of personal as well as professional. Reason being, I believe if you have a wonderful personal life in terms of not just family, in terms of learning art or something creative, dance, music, all of that does well at your profession.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so let's move on to the next segment of questions and let's discuss the challenges that the industry faces. And talk about trust. Ms. Sudha, every few months, the logistics world faces headlines, supply chain frauds, data leaks, compliance breaches. When these stories break, people often wonder, can we really trust the systems that run global trade? So, what's your take on it? I mean, as someone who has seen both the business and the ethical side of logistics, what's your take?
Sunny, a business built for years can be shattered over a click. That's the kind of uh, times that we are in. You do not even know that under your nose something big fraud happens. And cyber fraud is something that is too much to be heard of these days. And in 2022, uh, I was a victim of this when we did a big business again, COVID period, when maximum business was system driven. Or, you know, we had a big case wherein quite a lot of money was lost over a cyber fraud that we had to go through. The legal systems are still too porous for us to do anything about it. I have been personally involved in this case from last 2.5 years, and there is no outcome. There is no outcome at all. The modus is still continuing. It is not that I was, I in the sense Flomic, we were frauded with this amount, and we did escalate it to the ministry level. Still, the same modus is applied, and still there are fellow, competitions who are getting frauded in the same way. You won't believe it. It's a whole gang of people who are doing it. In fact, out of books, when we found out that they could really be caught, the legal system does not allow us to be reaching out to them. So in 2024, I took a call that let's not put more money over dead money, and we kind of withdrew from that. This is bad, absolutely bad, that we had to withdraw from such a what do I say, fraud that has happened on us. And we did publish into papers and things that this is the modus in which somebody operates, and this is how any freight forwarding company can be cheated. But it still continues. It still continues. One, the police or the legal system does not understand the terminologies of logistics or freight forwarding, because they have a certain horse's view of fraud. Beyond that is not fraud for them. So time and again, I think n number of times I must have gone and done lectures in all these places, making them understand what actually has happened. But it's still a open case. I have not stopped pursuing it. In fact, every week I give myself 2 hours time only to pursue this case. Only to pursue this case. It's gone up to the Ministry of Commerce Ministry, but no response or delayed response. It's just hanging. The challenges are very many, and this will continue. So today we are more cautious. We are very, very cautious about who we deal with, what's the kind of business we work with. The background checks are very, very, very stringent. So that's, we can be only cautious.
Miss Sudha, the tension and the stakes in that story really hit home, and it's not just about moving goods. And it's equally impressive how much diligence and leadership go into maintaining ethical operations.
True, it is difficult.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, all right. So this brings us to the last segment of questions of FaceTime with Leaders. And since we have connected with Directors Institute World Council of Directors, which brings together some of the sharpest minds in leadership and governance, let me ask you in the first place, what drew you to join the institute?
See, leadership is not a position. Leadership is to walk the talk. And when you want to walk the talk, are you prepared for it? That matters. And so when I happened to go through your program, I realized that it is not good enough to have just your 2 decades of experience. Probably you need to have some kind of a mentorship as well. That should help you have a better vision, have a better idea of, and also a surety that your thought process is in the right direction. You may know it all, but you may not be able to implement it the right way and without a hand to hold. So I really thought that this would be, and this is the same decision I made 5 years back to join the IAM. Idea was to see, okay, has the management strategies changed from what it was to 20 years back? As I said, curiosity never dies. So I was very curious to join the IAM to know the strategies, and it was a lovely 1 year of IAM because that made a big difference in my life. And now I thought, okay, it's time to look at the next step. And I really thought that Director Institute can give me that hand to, take me to the next position, as well as to think in those positions and take right decisions the right way. I also come from a matriarchal society. So leadership is part of our culture. So in all those senses, I thought that's the right choice I should make, and also guide myself into the right tune to be the right leader.
Amazing, amazing. And it's fascinating how curiosity led you to seek out such a high level forum. And, Ms. Sudha, I love how you connect hands on experience with boardroom insights. The story really shows that learning never stops, never ever stops, no matter how senior
Never,
you get.
never. Age and learning has nothing to do with each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let me tell you, Ms. Sudha, what an insightful conversation this has been. From redefining resilience in logistics to proving that leadership is equal parts precision and empathy, you have given us a masterclass in grounded human leadership. So thank you for sharing your journey, your lessons, and your warmth with us today. It's been such a pleasure having you on FaceTime with Leaders.
Thank you, Sunny. It's been such a pleasure talking to you.
And to our listeners, if you took you on one insight from today's episode, let it be this. Great logistics isn't just about moving goods, it's about moving people, possibilities, and progress. I'm your host, Sunny Pancholi, and this has been FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep leading with purpose. Thank you so much.